Post-millennial. Andrew Cuomo has been criminally referred to the DOJ over COVID nursing home disaster. Now, while the story does sound fun, it actually is just James Comer saying that Cuomo made false statements to Congress and he's referring him to Pam Bondi. The rumor is, I believe it was Steve Bannon who said, we should expect to see some arrests by summer, but I won't hold my breath. So seeing this story does make me feel, I would say, the dried, withered husk of hope that's just disheveled and lying within my core, maybe pulsed once as soon as this story popped up. But again, does anybody really think they're going to indict Cuomo?
No, because he's going to be mayor. Exactly.
I was going to say I'm truly conflicted because if they did indict Cuomo, the runner-up in the New York City Democratic mayoral primary is this socialist named Zorhan Mamdani, this AOC wannabe. So that would be a huge disaster. It's crazy how I'm actually rooting for Cuomo in the New York City
genocidal
primary.
maniac.
Why would you be rooting for Cuomo against the communists in New York?
Because I don't, wait, is that a serious question? Because I don't want the communists to, I'm an anti-communist.
Whoa, buddy, I'm not so sure about that there. We had that all fight about.
No, he changed his mind, remember?
You changed your mind about private.
He said Bezos shouldn't be taxed.
Or do you think that Eric Adams should have a shot?
He doesn't have a shot in the race.
I just think Cuomo should be in prison.
Yeah.
For this.
For killing all those people in those COVID nursing homes?
This is for sure. Nuremberg trials for Cuomo, for sure.
Were the sexual assault allegations kosher and not kosher?
They were kosher with all the women that heard about them.
Tara, at your time at ABC, I don't know. What's going on with Cuomo? Because I know a lot of the news networks had a really good relationship with him, especially during the pandemic. He was supposed to be like...
I wasn't at ABC during the pandemic. I left. I wasn't into the corporate media.
Oh, never mind.
I went to go do an Epstein podcast. So as much as you think I protect the corporate media, it wasn't my jam.
No, I think just one of them.
Oh, yeah. I respect reporters and journalists. Like, I actually, when I was a child, I really wanted to be a muckraker. I don't know if you know much about them, but they were Nellie Bly, these type of investigative journalists that could get their hands dirty and they could expose the powerful and hold them to account by getting real facts and information. So to me, accountability journalism is super important. And I side with people when they find information. Of course, it has to be accurate and it has to be correct. But I do believe at the core of journalism, it's to bring information to light that protects people.
I call that activism.
I don't call that activism because I don't.
Which people do you protect?
Because I go after both sides.
No. I didn't say politically. I said which people do you protect?
I don't protect people. In fact,
you just said to protect people.
No, to protect human beings, like in general, like from people who have power, from people with power.
And what do people with power do?
They abuse it.
Like
we talk about. I mean, at that time, it was the robber barons and the way they were treating people in the meatpacking industries. But now it's people in power. They look at what happened with the Biden administration. What was that?
Would you say people like Bezos and Bill Gates?
Yeah, everyone with power needs to be held into account.
No. What I'm saying, are you implying that they are abusing people? Because it's one thing to say you're in a position of authority and you're in a position of power, so you should be scrutinized. But it's another thing to be like, I think you're actually doing.
No, I would never accuse anybody of anything until I had actual information to be able to do that. And
what degree of power do you think warrants this kind of spotlight?
I think that if you are an elected official, for example, I think if you oversee, perhaps you're a major CEO of a company that sells products to people and maybe there's some sort of poison in the products, it's about it's really...
So what if there's a big corporation that has a customer base?
Yeah,
and they're
a mass customer base.
Mass deceiving their customer base in some way.
Yeah, exactly. It's I think it's about protecting the masses. I think it's populism driven. It's a populist form of journalism.
Let me ask you, there's a big company with 1 million customers.
Yeah.
And they have deceived all of their customers.
Yeah.
If you found there was an employee of that company who knew what was going on and was deceiving these people, that person is to be targeted as well, yes?
The employee would be a part of the story for sure. I think...
What if the employee is the one doing it?
Yeah, that's the story for sure.
It should be exposed.
Of course. If the employee was doing it, and if they were doing it independently, or were they being told by higher ups to do it, I think in general, this is just a populist form of journalism. I started my career at the New York Post. I've always believed that to me the best thing was when we got a dinkus that said Post got action, and that meant that whatever we reported resulted in some sort of change.
What degree of proof do you need? if there's, let's say that this employee then breaks off and starts his own company.
Yeah.
And is like, I'm going to do this thing. What degree of proof of intent, like mens rea, would you need to actually publish something that damages their business?
Here's where this is what I look at. I think, does this story matter? Does it like have impact on human beings' lives? I think about the sources. I consider my sources. And also, I have a reputation. Like, I've been doing this for 15 years, and I want to make sure that people, when they read my stuff, they're like, oh, yeah, that shit's legit. In the same way that when I saw that New York Times article, I saw the bylines, and I was like, oh, I've worked with those people before. They're legit, and others aren't. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you, of this company where the guy, he comes out, he's doing this, what do you think they should do? Like, let's say a news story breaks and says, this person, they left this big corporation, they're still doing this evil thing. When that story breaks, what should the individual who is accused of the evil do?
Well, they should defend themselves if they think that they are defensible, or they should admit guilt if they did something wrong.
Well, who's going to think they're guilty? I mean, everyone thinks they're doing something justifiable.
I don't know. Some people have to admit guilt. I mean, it's some people they don't admit guilt, or they just say no comment, or they hide. It's not like sometimes you have something on tape and it's almost undeniable. I mean, I think these AI times it's hard.
What if they weren't intentionally deceiving the customers, but they were just wrong the whole time?
I mean, it's something that it'd be a nuance in the story.
Should they shut their company down and say, "Wow, I can't believe I did that"?
I think that it depends on the story. Like, I think it really depends on. I think there are shades of gray in everything in life. Like, I know it's easy. We want to live in this world where there's an answer for everything, but there isn't an answer for everything. Sometimes you have to make calls. You have to make decisions based on what the evidence shows you.
What if the reporting destroys this person's life? They lose their job, they get canceled, all that stuff, and they never intentionally did something wrong. They just didn't realize what they were doing was wrong and hurting people.
I mean, how much power does this person have that they don't know what they're doing is wrong? And it's like, again, it's got to be a story.
1 million customers, they think that they're doing something good, but the product is actually bad, and the people are being lied to.
Well, they have to take accountability for what happened. So whether it's an apology and they say, I am so sorry that this happened. I didn't know that the chicken I was selling you had whatever chlorine. I know they use chlorine in chicken actually now, but whatever you want to use, some sort of product.
But should they quit? Should they shut down?
If it depends on the situation. If it wasn't like, it depends. I don't know. It depends.
I guess what I'm saying is like,
they may not even have to shut down. They could try to keep going, and they just might lose customers.
My argument is, if a story breaks accusing this person of wrongdoing, no one's just going to accept that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what is actually accomplished?
What do you mean? It's exposing something that's happening in the world. Like, we can't live in a place where information is like, you need information to make decisions. We need truth. That's power.
So let me ask you.
Truth is how we protect ourselves.
If you got
I don't want to live in la la land.
If you got a leaked message from this company, and like maybe some people who worked with this person, and releasing it would destroy their business, it didn't necessarily show that they were evil, but that what they were doing was probably hurting people. You would release it for sure.
If I had the sourcing, if I had done the reporting, if I had gotten down to the story and had as complete a story as possible, including the fact that this person may be unaware of what they're doing, which I would include in the story, allowing the readers to decide, I would, if I thought it was harming the public, I would release it. Yeah, I would, because I think it's important for people to know. And I do think that, like, we don't live in this world that we live in right now if it wasn't for those people who have risked, they risk their own lives to try to report.
I hope and I pray that journalist exists and they get you.
Why? For what?
Well, you worked for the big corporation that was lying to the American people. You started your own company. You still lie to the American people.
How do I lie to the American people?
Your defense of the corporate news industry.
I'm not defending the corporate industry.
But I'm just making a point.
I'm not. But I haven't done anything.
As largely righteous.
I'm not righteous. I'm doing this. I have a goal.
You think
but what's wrong with having a mission and with having a goal in life? What's wrong with wanting to do the right thing?
You said that. The point is, you think you are morally justified in going after these people, and I'm not saying you aren't.
But going after who?
People that you'd view as having power.
Power is like...
You have power. You have lots of power. You have substantially more power than 99% of the people in this country.
And you know what? If I do something wrong and someone finds out about it and they have correct reporting, fine. I will
What if you report on a manufacturing business because some guy at the top took a kickback of 10 grand and it results in the company going out of business and 100 employees lose their job, and now a middle-class working guy in the middle of the country says, I'm homeless and destitute because of you?
I mean, these are complex questions, but
Indeed it is, which is my point is when you say that your intention is to
Are you just saying that we shouldn't just not cover powerful people? We should just let everybody run amok?
Certainly not. I'm saying
you want
that
to be Russia? Like, what do you want?
you have a myopic, morally righteous worldview where you think you are true and correct and other people are not.
I don't think I'm perfect. No,
the point I'm making is,
but I have
the appropriate response in the Signalgate story would have been to just for Goldberg to just say,
"Oh my God."
Yeah, right. You can calm down. It would have been for him to just say, "Guys, take me off this chat," instead of destroying the lives over a stupid texting error. Say, "Guys, never let this happen again. It could get people hurt. You shouldn't have put me on it. We'll keep it private." That employee who loses his job because you blow the whistle on one guy at a mid-level who took a kickback would say, "Why didn't you just keep this under wraps? We would have all kept our jobs. Why did you have to destroy our lives because he did something wrong?"
But here's the thing. How do we know that because one guy gets fired that the whole company goes under? How do we know that somebody else doesn't just get promoted and take that job?
Looks like 3 people got fired from the DOD because of the Signalgate reporting.
Yeah, they'll get another job, I'm sure. And
I'm sure they can learn to code. They'll be fine, right?
You said Americans don't care about Signal leak, but apparently 74% of U.S. adults do. And that includes Republicans. That's according to YouGov. And you've also referenced
What was the
polls.
question?
The question was...
Yeah, I tend not to reference single
share
polls.
of Americans who... You did, though. Many times you said Echelon, you said Pew.
Is that 3 polls at once?
You definitely mentioned at least 3 in this
Exactly.
show so far.
I like to use polls that have multivariate results, different polls.
If I'm not allowed to use polls, but you are, let me know.
I'm allowed to use 3 polls. I'm asking you if you're citing
another
one. I don't give it as much weight.
You also said Rasmussen earlier, and 48% of people...
I didn't say Rasmussen.
You did.
Rasmussen, sorry.
You did say it at Rasmussen, whatever. You said it earlier.
I didn't.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I recall you saying that, but 48%
I didn't because
of people...
we learned recently that's pronounced Rasmussen by the guy from Rasmussen who came here.
And also, I just want to say the definition of classified information includes, quote, information providing indication or advance warning that the U.S. or its allies are preparing an attack.
Does Pete Hegseth have the authority over the DOD's information, whether it's classified or not?
I think Trump is the one who decides, right, about classification. I don't know that
universally, but what about specifically DOD information?
I don't know that answer.
It is Hegseth.
Okay.
So if he says it's not classified, it's not. The ultimate issue that I bring up with all these questions is,
well, he better hope he's right.
the appropriate way that you handle a thing like this is to say, "Guys, take me off this text chat," and there's no story.
But what if they take you off the text chat and carry on committing a crime, like you said, the National Records Act, violating that?
Well, the Biden administration did that too.
Okay.
So perhaps the response should be, "Hey guys, the Biden administration and probably Obama and now the Trump administration are all doing this thing."
Yeah.
It seems like
I don't think
all
there was Signal during Obama years.
There was.
It was?
Yeah, but I doubt they used it because it was new. I think it was like 2014.
I don't remember.
Actually, I'm pretty sure we used Signal back in 2011.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't think they used it. The point is, the use of this is more an administrative issue between. It's like we're not going to go and arrest Obama, Biden, and Trump because of a National Records Act violation. We're going to say this should not be allowed. Congress needs to quash this immediately. My point is, there is this argument about journalism is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Mm-hmm. But what we often end up with, especially in this generation...
I don't think that that's absolutely what journalism is.
That's the famous quote.
Okay, some people say that. It's one person said that. I don't know.
I know, and journalists go to J school and they preach it and they love it. So my concern is when you see instances like this, there's appropriate ways to handle things for the betterment of humanity.
Yeah.
But Goldberg did not do that.
But actually, in some ways, I think
he caused division, chaos, and fighting.
Or he showed the American people how
that what a text error happened.
How the White House conducts itself, how it's the national security apparatus conducts itself.
Errors happen all the time. Trump tweeted "Kafefi."
That wasn't a pre-planned information about an attack.
Okay. Joe Biden stole classified documents for the purpose of selling a book and making money. Right? These
so
things,
did Trump.
Trump didn't do it to make money. Trump had knickknacks from various boxes from his daily briefings.
Whatever they wanted to use it for, both of them did. So did Pence. So did Pompeo. All these guys take their classified
Only Trump
docs.
got prosecuted for it.
No, I think they tried to. And I agree with you that the Biden thing was pretty weak, just saying he was an old man. And that was the reason they weren't prosecuting him, was pretty pathetic.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.